Good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus and our first daily focus after Christmas. Even though in Michigan, if you look outside for the first time, it looks like Christmas, at least a white Christmas. And we got quite a bit of snow that we did not know we were going to get, but that doesn't change anything. We got it, whether we wanted to or not. And I trust that you are looking forward to a new year. Well, I've entitled this one, Do Not Compare Yourselves Among Yourselves. God says this is not wise. And so in Second Corinthians chapter 10, Paul is helping the Corinthian church wrestle through the letters that he had to write unto them, addressing issues that had come up in the church, real problems, destructive problems, very fleshly, selfish problems that were manifesting themselves. And God said, you know what? I have sent Paul to help you do what is right because you belong to Christ. This is not something to embarrass you. This is not something to expose you. This is something actually to edify and to help you. And Paul was called as an apostle, and some of that was under attack by some people. And Paul is trying to say to the church, listen, I love you, and the things that I have said to you needed to be said. And I want you to know that I would have the same confidence in person as I have in the letters, because it's not about me. It was about the message God would have you to know and to do. And so I have simply told you what it was that God wanted you to hear. And so you may say, yeah, he was a real tough guy in letters, but if he came in person, he wouldn't have been that bold. And Paul is saying I would have, because truth is truth. And I don't get to decide truth, but I've been called of God to declare truth. And so he said the confidence in declaring truth doesn't come from myself. It comes from the fact that I belong to Christ, and I've been called by God to do this. I want you as a church to understand you've been called by God to function in unity, to function in love, but to function according to the Spirit. And that's not something you just do outwardly. That's something that comes from the inside. And so Paul says in Second Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 12, we dare not make ourselves of the number or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they measure themselves by themselves, and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. In other words, Paul said the measure of our spirituality comes when we look at Christ, not when we look at someone else. It's amazing when people want to compare themselves to some other Christian, they pick which Christian they want to compare themselves to so they can win. And Paul is saying this is foolishness. God is saying through the Apostle Paul under inspiration, this is not wise. And so we are to measure ourselves according to the character of Christ, not each other. And if we measure ourselves amongst ourselves, we open the door for competition. We open the door for pride. We open the door for a lot of trouble. And so Paul is saying, listen, here's what I want you to understand is you exist so that people will see Christ, not you. As a church, you function so that the character of Christ is put on display, not your personality. That the spirituality of Christ is seen, and not trying to see your own. And so Paul is just really reminding us, and what a great reminder before we go into the new year, that we might have a New Year's resolution that my focus in 2022 is going to be Christ. That my focus is going to be living according to his standard, presenting his character, so people come to a right conclusion about him. And so as we go into 2022, we need to remember it's not about us. It never will be. It's not about what people think of us. It's what people think of Christ. And I have been called to a vocation of accurately and appropriately presenting Christ to a world that so desperately needs him. I hope that'll be your New Year's resolution. May God bless you. May we commit to never compare ourselves among ourselves. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.